speaker will be Gulalai Ismail. And I had the pleasure of hearing her yesterday, and I'm pleased to hear again today.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful to speak. Thank you so much. It was wonderful to speak yesterday. I'm very glad to be here again and to be able to talk to you. I come from Pakistan, and today we'll talk about the work of Aware Girls, how we are working to empower girls and young women in Pakistan, how we are working to bridge the gender gap. Before I start talking about what we work, I would like to tell you exactly how life is for girls in Pakistan so that you can know how important and why our work is important. We all know that patriarchy is universal and it is showing up in different forms in different parts of the world, in the forms of domestic abuse, in the form of early marriages, in the form of unequal pay, in the form of honor killing, etc., etc. I will share with you how patriarchy shapes the lives of women in Pakistan. Pakistan is, according to the research of the Thomas Reuters Foundation, Pakistan is among the countries, it is on the third number. It is considered as a third world most dangerous and difficult country for women of the world. If we look at the statistics in Pakistan, 90%, more than 90% of the women, they are facing domestic abuse in their daily lives. And the women who are facing domestic abuse, one of the statistics from Pakistani organizations shows that 59% of the victims of domestic abuse are girls below the age of 18. So more the girls are young, the more they are uneducated, they are victims of domestic abuse. The literacy rate in Pakistan for girls is also very alarming. Especially in part of Pakistan from where I come, that is the northwest of Pakistan, which is considered one of the most difficult parts of Pakistan for girls and women. The literacy rate for girls is less than 23%. And let me tell you that literacy rate in Pakistan means, literacy means any person who can just read and write their name. That's the person will be considered as a literate person. So less than 23% of the girls are literate in the northwest of Pakistan, and only less than 15% of the girls, they are having the opportunity to complete their high school's education. It means that very few girls have the opportunity to have an enabling education, an education which will enable them to follow their dreams, to have a career and to empower themselves. It's a shame that for millions of girls in Pakistan, education is not a right, it is a privilege. Only few girls have the privilege to complete their schools and to get university education. You all may know about the girl Malala, who was shot by Taliban only because she spoke for her very basic right of education. In Swat, in northwest of Pakistan, Swat was, in 2009, it was, the control of Swat was took by Taliban, the militant groups, the terrorist groups. They took the control of Swat and they destroyed 400 schools. Most of these schools were girls' schools. The schools were destroyed by the Taliban. Girls were not allowed to go for education. They were not allowed to go to the market. Simply, they were not allowed to live. They were only allowed to be in their homes and serve their families. So in this situation, when even elder people and even when adults were not able to speak up and to do anything because they were very violent people, and there was this a choke which was known as bloody choke, and they used to slaughter and kill people on the daily basis so that other people can learn lesson from them and so that they never speak. But in that situation, this little girl Malala, who was very young at that time, she started writing a diary for BBC, and she was telling her experiences and her dreams to the world. But later she was shot by the Taliban because she was speaking for her right to education. So that's the kind of situation we are living in. So this is a very difficult time for the women and girls of Pakistan. Now I will share you exactly that in this kind of situation, what's my story, why we decided to work for women's rights and how it started. I personally grew in a village in the northwest of Pakistan, where life is not easy for girls, as in generally for many other women. Few girls get education, and few girls can follow their dreams. Before girls were born in my village, their life pattern was already set. It was already decided that these girls, they will get married and they will serve their husbands. So all of the grooming of the girl was around, growing up so that they can become obedient wives and obedient daughter-in-laws, and so that they can serve their families. The purpose was never to, to make them enabling human beings so that they can follow their dreams. So in that situation, my own mother, she was the only woman entrepreneur in the whole village. She was the only entrepreneur, but believe me, she was never celebrated and never encouraged because she was the only entrepreneur. But she was very much encouraged and celebrated in the village as a woman. And the reason was, my mom never spoke up when she was beaten. It is common, women got beaten in their homes, and my mom never speak up. So people used to admire her. Wow, what a role model woman. Look, she never cried. She never shouted when her husbands beat her. That is how women should be. When I was young, I never wanted to grow like my mother. I wanted to grow up like my father, who had the independence to decide for himself, who had the independence to do whatever he wants to do. So growing up for me was, to becoming like my father from very young age. This was how it used to be. But for some reasons, because my father was very vocal and he was very active in the politics of the village, we were thrown out of our village because my father was very vocal and poor people were not supposed to participate in politics. So we were thrown out of our village, and that changed our life pattern. My father decided that he will work for human rights and for the inequalities. So we came to Peshawar because we were not allowed to live in the village. So we came to Peshawar, and my father started working for human rights. So when I was at the age of 7 and 8 at that time. So when girls were reading storybooks, my storybooks were CEDAW, Convention on the Rights of Child, and Human Rights Reports. That is what I was reading when I was very young. So I was getting this knowledge about what are human rights and what is the situation of human rights in the country. So with all this situation, it was not acceptable for me to be a girl, not acceptable for me to, not to play in the park only because I was a girl. It was not acceptable for me to be not being able to go to the market and buy chocolates for myself only because I'm a girl. It was not acceptable for me not to have dreams of my own only because of my girl. I decided that I will have my own dreams. I will pursue my own dreams. And I will also create opportunities for other girls so that they can pursue their own dreams. So I and my sister Sabah, who is in the audience also, we used to, she's here in the second row in the green shirt, so we used to discuss that what should we do so that we can pursue our own dreams. So we decided we should start from girls. We should tell them that they are equal human beings and they have rights, and they should have their dreams, and they should follow their dreams, and they should talk to their families. So we started talking to our friends, but what happened when we were talking to our cousins and to our friends in our schools, and when we were talking to them, see, this is CEDAW and this is CRC and these are our rights and we should talk to their families, we soon found out that in fact many girls have internalized the patriarchal norms. They have accepted their unequal status in the society. And many things which are actually discrimination against women, such as not being able to do job, not being able to get education, they were considered as privileges by many girls. So we came to know that if we want to bring change, then first we have to raise awareness among girls, and we should tell them that they are equal human beings, and being girls does not reduce their human dignity. It does not reduce their human status. Being girls, also being human being, and being human being, they reserve all rights. So we decided to start with giving this awareness to the girls, and that's why we kept the name of our movement as Aware Girls, to aware girls about their human dignity, about their status, and to tell them that they have to claim their rights, because if they don't claim their rights, no one is going to come and to give them their rights. So some of our friends also joined us in the movement, and we used to educate girls about their human rights, and we used to tell them how they can talk to their families, how they can work in their society. So we started doing small little things on volunteer basis to change our society. And today we have a number of programs which are empowering young women and which are creating an enabling environment where girls can exercise their rights, they can claim their rights. So we are working on different programs. One of the very important programs, we call it Girls Power Club. Under the Girls Power Club program, we go to the remote areas of Pakistan, to the villages of Pakistan where girls even don't have access to education. We go there and we form girls groups. We organize girls in small groups, and then we educate them about their human rights. We educate them about how they can advocate for their human rights in their own families, because it starts with the families. If the family is not allowing you to go to school, if the family is not allowing you to, to do a job, there's little a girl can do then. So we train them how they can talk in their families, and then we also train them how they can work in their communities to change the attitude of their communities and to create enabling environments. So these girls in the form of groups, they work in their communities and they work in their families to bring change in their lives for themselves and for other girls. And they do little small things. For example, one of the group in one village, their school was closed. Though there was a school in the paper documents of the government, but it was closed and no one was going to the school and there were no teachers. So this group of girls, they went to the local government and they talked to them and they said, this is our school and we want it to be reopened because we want to get educated. So they pressurized the government to reopen the school, and the school was reopened. Then they talked to the families that why girls' education is important and why they should send their girls to the school. So now their school has been reopened and now girls are going there and getting education. Some of the girls, they have established girls' watch committees, and the purpose of the girls' watch committees is to monitor if any violence is happening in their neighborhood. And if it happens, they talk to their elders to convince the family and to educate them about, about preventing violence. And we have also established a helpline, because it's important to work for community change and to educate people, but it's also important to have a system of protection for women. So we have established a helpline which provides information, counseling and referral services such as legal aid, shelter homes, and economic opportunities to the women who are victims of gender-based violence. So they monitor if there is any case of violence against women in their communities, and then they refer it to the helpline if help is needed, where we help them with legal aid and with shelter and with other opportunities, any opportunities which they need. And our helpline is receiving like around more than 100 calls every month. So which is we think that in the culture where we are working, it's quite a good number to have even 100 calls per month. And another important program which we have is about the political empowerment of women. As I told you that in our culture where I was growing, the life pattern for girls is already decided. That is, they have to get married and they have to serve their husbands and have to become obedient wives, blah, blah, blah. And girls are usually seen in their relationships, such as such as a wife and a daughter and sister, but not as citizen or human being. So the purpose of the program is to politically empower young women and to groom them as citizens in their communities so that they can have the rights and responsibilities of citizens. So in the political empowerment of program, we train them about civic engagement, about political empowerment. We arrange visits for them to the political parties so that they can meet them and they can hold accountable the politicians about what politicians are doing about women's rights. We take them to the parliament where they see how legislation happens and why it is important for girls to be in the politics and to influence the politics. And besides political empowerment work for women, we are also working on HIV/AIDS education for girls and women. We are working on sexual and reproductive health rights. And we are also working on peace building and mainstreaming role of women in peace building. We think that religious extremism is one of the is a very big challenge to the rights of women. So we are working on countering religious extremism in their communities, and we are promoting peace activism among young women. Through our work, we are reaching more than 10,000 girls and young women directly through our work, and we are changing their lives. And we believe we believe that change has to come through young women and girls in the community. If we want to have better communities, then we have to start from girls. So we have taken the challenge to start from girls. And we know that it's very challenging because you know all the story of Malala, what happened to her when she spoke up, and there are many unheard and unsung stories also of violence and abuse when girls speak up for their rights. But we are committed. We believe that our silence is our death, and we cannot remain silent if we want to change their communities. And we believe that in your communities, you will be also mentoring and supporting girls to speak up and to change their communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gulalai.